Mr. Speaker, may I humbly suggest that the root of these challenges is insufficient compassion in our policy-making process. So what again is compassionate policy-making? When we pursue policy-making under the umbrella of compassion, we seek to relieve the suffering of others. When we prioritize compassion, we become more willing to err on the side of equity, perhaps at some expense to efficiency.
I would like to suggest that none of us have a monopoly over compassion. And I say this not to discredit anyone. And in particular, I really respect where Member Jamus Lim is coming from, intellectually, emotionally, and so on. But don't assume that, no one should assume that you have a monopoly over compassion. And here's a bit of advice. Try to avoid strawman arguments, like saying that the government is only interested in efficiency and not equity. That's frankly laughable. Try to avoid that manner of argument or painting everything in binary terms.
So I'm not suggesting that every policy that is currently in place is only geared toward efficiency. And likewise, I'm not suggesting that every policy that I have laid out in my speech and elsewhere is only geared toward equity. Rather, it is about a continuum. And I am arguing that we can move more in the direction of favoring equity over efficiency. And that was the entire point of the argument, not to create an artificial straw man.
Race and religion remain fault lines, and they remain highly emotive issues. And the risk of regressing on what we have achieved is always there. Because we're not the same, we each have something unique to contribute, to bring to the table. The more diverse we are, the richer our culture becomes. And we should view difference from the lens of contribution and not separation.
And I think Minister himself acknowledges this fact when he says that we are a Singapore tapestry, we are not ossified. There's a fabric of hope, he mentioned. So would he not agree with me then that to keep this tapestry alive, really, we have to refresh our conversations from time to time about such matters? I hope the government is not saying that its mind is closed on these matters, because if they want to engage across generations who may have different aspirations, then we all need to keep an open mind, and from time to time, we have to be prepared to look at things, without being held back.
Certainly the minds are not closed to this conversation. And that's why I've pitched in my speech that we must continue to have active discourse, civic participation, gain new ideas, and constantly look at the problem.
To be truly Singaporean does not at all mean that we must forego or dilute our racial identity, or pretend that we are not of a particular race, or can't see the race of a fellow Singaporean. On the contrary, to be truly Singaporean is to understand and respect these race differences. So, having the CIMO framework does not make us less Singaporean, and doing away with it does not mean we will become more Singaporean either.
I don't think any of us is pretending that, we are ethnically uniform or that there are no racial differences. But I wanted to ask him whether he thinks it's actually possible, the community expertise that he mentioned that is in the self-help groups, is it not possible to bring everybody under one national umbrella so that we don't lose that expertise in that sense, but at the same time, with such a national body, there will be the advantage of pooling of national resources from the whole population that will be contributing to this pool. And it will also have the additional, I think, uplifting effect for some that they're actually contributing to a race-blind fund.
The self-help group concept has worked for over almost 40 years now. I'm sure Ms. Sylvia Lim also knows that we do not work in silos. Over the years, we have also made effort to work together. But while we work together in different platforms, we also recognize that the uniqueness of each self-help group does serve our respective community better to a certain extent, because we do understand our cultural nuances, we do understand our cultural history, we do understand what we stand for as individual communities.